On April 9th, 2016, a chilling call shocked the Renton Police Department. The remains of a woman's body, Ingrid Line, were found in a white trash bag. The discovery included a severed arm, a detached head, and a sliced-off leg. Investigators began their search for answers, leading them to a suspect. What dark secrets would they uncover in their pursuit of justice? Let's go back to the beginning. Ingrid Rounceville, a lively individual, was born on August 2, 1975, in Arizona. She graduated from Canyon del Oro High School in Tucson in 1993 and pursued nursing, earning a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from the University of Arizona in 1997. In 2000, Ingrid moved to Washington, where she worked at Seattle's Swedish Medical Center, positively impacting many lives. She married Philip Line and had 3 daughters, Reese, Brooke, and Noelle. After divorcing Philip in 2014, Ingrid moved to Renton with her daughters to start a new chapter. As a single mother, she faced challenges but was devoted to her children's happiness. In 2016, Ingrid was living in Renton with her daughters, aged 6, 8, and 10. Despite the divorce, Ingrid and Philip remained in touch for their daughters' sake. The divorce left Ingrid feeling broken, longing for love and respect she missed in her previous marriage. During this challenging period, Ingrid, a 40-year-old woman, found solace in an online connection she made through a dating site. Their conversations provided her with comfort, momentarily alleviating her pain and giving her a sense of love. This individual made her feel beautiful and accepted her, despite the fact that she already had 3 daughters. It was like a dream come true for Ingrid, signifying the start of a new chapter in her life. On April 8, 2016, after a month of online communication, Ingrid took a leap of faith and agreed to meet this person for a date. It was her way of embracing the possibility of moving forward. Ingrid entrusted her daughters to her ex-husband's care, assuring them that she would take them out the following day. Ingrid and her date decided to attend the opening game of the Seattle Mariners, an exhilarating baseball event. After the game, they went to a bar where the man's sister happened to work. They spent the evening happily playing darts, sharing drinks, and laughing together. Ingrid felt an overwhelming sense of happiness and freedom. The next day, on April 9, 2016, Philip, Ingrid's ex-husband, arrived at her home in Renton around 10 a.m. to drop off their daughters. As he approached the house, he noticed that Ingrid's 2015 silver Toyota Highlander was missing. Concerned, he repeatedly knocked on the door, but received no response. He tried calling her multiple times, but Ingrid did not answer any of his calls. This was unusual because Ingrid was known for never breaking promises, especially when it came to her daughters. Philip couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Growing increasingly worried, he decided to contact Ingrid's mother, Jorga Boss, hoping she might have some information about Ingrid's whereabouts. However, Jorga was also concerned when she learned that Ingrid was not at home, as she had no idea where Ingrid could be. Filled with anxiety, Jorga hurried to Ingrid's house, armed with a spare key. She utilized it to gain entry into the residence and called out for Ingrid, yet there was no reply. Alarmed, Jorga proceeded upstairs to inspect Ingrid's bedroom, only to discover that Ingrid was not there. However, she did stumble upon Ingrid's purse and phone on the table, but there was no trace of Ingrid or her car. The situation appeared peculiar and suspicious. It didn't make sense for Ingrid to leave the house without her phone and purse if she had indeed departed. After all, most individuals wouldn't leave their homes without money or a means of communication. This raised even more inquiries and concerns about Ingrid's whereabouts. Without wasting any time, Jorga promptly contacted the police and reported her daughter as missing. Upon arrival at Ingrid's residence in Renton, the Renton Police Department officers were met by Jorga, whose tear-filled eyes conveyed her distress. Initially, the police attempted to console Jorga, suggesting that Ingrid may have gone out and would return soon. However, Jorga's intuition told her otherwise. She had a gut feeling that something was wrong. Determined to locate her daughter, she implored the police to conduct a thorough investigation. The police wasted no time and commenced a meticulous door-to-door inquiry, interrogating the neighbors in hopes of uncovering any leads. They diligently questioned the neighbors, inquiring if they had witnessed Ingrid entering her house the previous night or leaving in the morning. One neighbor had an intriguing account to share. He disclosed that he had seen Ingrid returning home with an unfamiliar man the previous night. The man appeared suspicious, as the neighbor had never seen him before. What perplexed everyone was the fact that no one had observed Ingrid leaving her house thereafter. The question lingered. Who was this man? And if Ingrid had returned home but was not seen leaving, where could she possibly be? The police urged individuals to reflect on any unusual incidents they may have noticed the night before or that morning. They encouraged anyone with information to come forward, as it could be crucial in locating Ingrid. The daughters were growing increasingly concerned upon seeing the police inquire about their mother. They turned to Holga, their grandmother, for answers. They inquired about their mother's well-being, but Jorga reassured them, explaining that she had simply gone out and would be back soon. The police assured Holga that they would investigate the situation. Jorga anxiously awaited her daughter's return, and suddenly, a realization dawned on her. Jorga remembered that she and Ingrid shared a Verizon account, which provides access to various services like phone plans and internet. Intrigued, she checked the phone records and noticed a recurring number that Ingrid had been in contact with, even on the day she disappeared. Jorga decided to dig deeper and input the number into Facebook. To her surprise, a profile belonging to a man named John Charlton popped up. Filled with hope, she messaged him, desperately seeking any information about Ingrid's whereabouts. The response was prompt. "I'm John. I assumed she was with her children today," John replied. Jorga quickly responded, her hands shaking as she typed, "When was the last time you saw her? She wasn't here. Her phone, driver's license, and purse were all left behind, but she's gone. I've contacted 911 for assistance." John's reply conveyed confusion. 911? What's going on? He elaborated. "We attended the Mariners game last night, but we didn't spend the night together because she had plans with her kids today. I'm not sure what she told you about me and our relationship." Fear gripped Jorga as she messaged back. "She's missing. Can you please provide the time you last saw her? The authorities need to speak with you, as you might be the last person to have seen her." At that moment, it became evident to Jorga that Ingrid had indeed gone on a date with John Charlton the previous evening. It appeared probable that he was the same individual the neighbor had witnessed accompanying Ingrid back to her residence. With a mixture of concern and optimism, Jorga realized that John might possess some knowledge regarding Ingrid's whereabouts. However, John remained silent, leaving Jorga in a state of anxiety and desperation for answers. She persisted in sending him messages pleading, "John, please call me. I am aware that your name is John Charlton, so kindly reach out to me." With each passing moment, the burden of uncertainty grew heavier. Jorga could not bear the thought of her daughter disappearing without a trace. She persevered, hoping for any lead, and messaged him once again. "John, did Ingrid mention anything about meeting someone after you parted ways last night? We cannot locate her or her vehicle. Her phone, identification, and purse are at home, but she and her car have vanished. We are at our wits' end, desperate for any assistance. Ingrid would never simply abandon her family like this." Nevertheless, John remained silent and did not respond to any of the messages. Jorga felt a sense of helplessness, and tears streamed down her face. The situation escalated when, 6 hours after Ingrid was reported missing, around 4 p.m., the police received a disturbing call from an individual named Mike Novasio. Mike resided approximately 10 miles away from Ingrid's residence at 21st Avenue and East Rhine Street in Seattle. In a frightened tone, he conveyed that while taking out his recycling bin, he stumbled upon what appeared to be human body parts enclosed in white trash bags. Mike's voice quivered as he recounted his unsettling encounter. He described seeing a head and noticing the painted toenails, which caused a wave of sickness to wash over him. The sight was unbearable. He explained that the body parts had been meticulously wrapped in the bags, indicating a disturbing level of precision. The police wasted no time and promptly arrived at the location. With meticulous care, they retrieved the bags from the bins. As the bags were opened, a chilling shock fell upon them. They stumbled upon a decapitated head, a fragment of a leg and an arm, with the remaining body parts nowhere to be found. Due to the absence of decomposition, the facial features remained intact and recognizable, suggesting that the individual had been recently murdered. A human leg was discovered at a recycling plant on South Hanford Street in Seattle. The leg belonged to a woman with the same painted toenails as Ingrid. This indicated that Ingrid's body parts had been scattered across 3 different locations, including the easily accessible recycling bins. The police began to suspect that the perpetrator might not be a serial killer, as they typically dispose of bodies in more concealed locations. Instead, they started considering the possibility that the culprit could be someone close to Ingrid. Determined to uncover any overlooked evidence, the police returned to Ingrid's home and decided to remove the plumbing for a thorough examination. Upon their surprise, they stumbled upon more blood in the disassembled drain trap. To aid their investigation, they employed a reagent known as Blue Star, which unveiled additional traces of blood that had been meticulously cleaned. It was clear that this was not a spur-of-the-moment act of violence. It was a meticulously planned and executed murder, introducing a captivating twist to the case. As the results from the analysis came in, more unsettling details about Ingrid's demise surfaced. Initially deemed as homicidal violence, a closer examination by the medical examiner revealed petechiae, small blood vessels in her eyes indicating strangulation. Furthermore, signs of hemorrhaging on the neck were found. It was apparent that Ingrid was first strangled and then dismembered within her own residence. The revelation shed light on the brutal way Ingrid's life was taken, hinting at a deep-seated animosity towards her. The toxicology report disclosed that Ingrid had no drugs in her system, but her blood alcohol level was 0.074, slightly above the normal range. 2 days later, on April 20th, 2016, authorities located Ingrid's vehicle in Belltown, a mere 6-minute drive from Seattle. This raised suspicions as John had claimed Ingrid dropped him off downtown and should have returned home before her murder. The abandonment of her car so close to Seattle, where they had attended a Seattle Mariners game together, seemed peculiar. Law enforcement meticulously combed through the entire vehicle and made a chilling discovery. The same white trash bags containing Ingrid's dismembered body parts were found inside the car. Additionally, 3 fingerprints were found on the driver's door handle of the vehicle. These prints were crucial as they could belong to Ingrid, given that the car was hers, or they could belong to the perpetrator who had driven her car to that location. Realizing the significance of this evidence, the fingerprints were promptly sent for testing. The findings confirmed the suspicions of the police. The fingerprints were a match for John Charlton, the individual Ingrid had gone out with on the evening she went missing. It became apparent that John's statements during the interrogation were all calculated tactics to mislead the authorities. Despite initially claiming to be intoxicated and unaware of the events that transpired that night, the meticulous planning and execution of the crime, coupled with the thorough cleaning of the residence to eliminate any traces of evidence, indicated that John acted with full consciousness and possessed a clear motive for murdering Ingrid. The police recollected that during the questioning, John had mentioned staying with his former girlfriend. In their pursuit of gathering more information about John, the police exerted significant efforts to locate and interview his ex-girlfriend, ensuring her identity remained undisclosed for privacy concerns. During the interview, she disclosed that John, who worked as a day laborer, typically spent his nights at a shelter in Seattle, except for a few nights each week when he stayed at her place. They had known each other for approximately a year, and she permitted him to store some of his belongings at her residence. Interestingly, she informed the police that John was supposed to visit her on the Saturday morning of April 9th, 2016, the day after his encounter with Ingrid. However, he arrived later than planned, citing an unforeseen circumstance. She revealed that he arrived at the bus station in Lake Stevens around 10:30 p.m., and she immediately noticed that he had a swollen and injured lip. When questioned about it, John claimed that he had been the victim of an attempted robbery at a bar, despite still having his wallet. This particular detail captured the attention of the police. When they interrogated John on April 11, 2016, they observed abrasions on his head, chin, and scratches on his chest and arms. These injuries appeared to align with the unsettling possibility that they may have been inflicted during the struggle between John and Ingrid when he strangled her. It seemed as though she had put up a strong fight, leaving her mark on him in a desperate bid to defend herself. The police acted swiftly without hesitation, taking John into custody and charging him with the murder of Ingrid Line. John Robert Charlton was born in 1979 in Washington to Ray and Joanne Charlton. At 37 years old, he had a history of encounters with the law. His past included a misdemeanor assault conviction in King County in 1997, indicating a propensity for aggression. Additionally, he had a history of negligent driving in Washington state in 1998. In 2006, he faced charges of attempted aggravated robbery in Utah. It appeared that he was no stranger to trouble. In 2008, he was found guilty of felony theft in Montana. Moreover, records showed a misdemeanor battery case in Idaho in 2009, hinting at a pattern of violent behavior. These prior run-ins with the law added a layer of complexity to John's character and raised suspicions about his potential involvement in serious crimes. John's turbulent past extended beyond his criminal record. Troubling incidents involving his parents shed light on his volatile behavior. In 2006, John's parents sought protection from him, citing concerns for their safety. They recounted his drunken outbursts and expressed fear for their well-being. Court documents detailed a disturbing incident on March 2, 2006, when John, under the influence of alcohol, turned physically and verbally abusive towards his parents. During that episode, John allegedly took the movie Hannibal from a shelf in the house and placed it in front of his mother, warning her to watch it and be cautious. According to his parents, John held grudges for years, and his conduct grew increasingly menacing and violent when under the influence of alcohol or drugs. They also suspected his use of crack cocaine. Although the request for the protection order was eventually dismissed, these occurrences painted a troubling picture of John's unstable and aggressive tendencies. John initially denied any knowledge of Ingrid's fate, but eventually changed his plea to guilty before the trial began. The prosecution presented a compelling case in court, alleging that John had murdered Ingrid inside her own home. Shockingly, it was revealed that John had driven through downtown Seattle, disposing of Ingrid's body parts in various trash cans. The medical examiner's report confirmed that Ingrid's death was a result of violent homicide. In response, the defense argued that there was a lack of forensic evidence linking anyone, including their client, to Ingrid's murder. They urged the community not to rush to conclusions during this tragic event. However, all the evidence seemed to point towards John's involvement. The prosecutor, Dan Satterberg, acknowledged that there were still unanswered questions surrounding the motive behind Ingrid's murder. Nevertheless, he praised the diligent work of the police and prosecutors in gathering evidence to build a strong case against the person they believed was responsible for her death. It was a challenging task, but their dedication paid off in delivering justice for Ingrid. John was sentenced to a maximum of 27 years and 9 months in prison in accordance with the state's guidelines. However, Judge Julie Spector, presiding over the case in King County Superior Court, expressed her strong condemnation, stating that if she had the authority, she would have given him a life sentence. She described his actions as unimaginably vicious and cruel. During the sentencing hearing, John addressed the court and Ingrid's grieving family, acknowledging the immense pain he had caused and expressing genuine remorse. Ingrid's ex-husband, Philip, spoke about the profound loss caused by John's actions, highlighting how John had not only taken away a co-parent and confidant, but also a loving and caring mother to their daughters. Philip expressed his sorrow over the fact that the children would no longer have the guidance and wisdom of Ingrid as a mother figure. He mentioned that they would miss out on cherished traditions such as celebrating July 4th in Big Fork, Montana, going on beach trips, and enjoying Thursday night dinners at a steakhouse. Additionally, Philip shared the heartbreaking realization that their future grandchildren would never experience the love and care of a maternal grandmother. Despite their resilience, Philip acknowledged that their daughters deeply feel the absence of their mother every day, each in their own unique way. Ingrid's close friend, Nancy Civitilli, described the indescribable horror that engulfed everyone upon hearing about Ingrid's tragic death. She emphasized that the murder was not just an act of violence, but a violation of Ingrid's body, leaving behind an unimaginable aftermath. Civitilli did not hold back in calling John a coward, directly addressing him and reminding him of the profound impact his actions had on Ingrid's daughters. She pointed out how he selfishly tore away a beautiful person and a devoted mother from their lives. Civitilli also highlighted the loss felt by friends like herself, who considered Ingrid as a sister. While justice has been served, the scars of this tragedy will forever remain. On April 18, 1993, a biologist conducting a tortoise survey in the desolate area near Tropicana Avenue and Durango Drive in Las Vegas, Nevada, made a startling discovery. Among the rocks and dirt, partially buried, was a handcrafted quilt. Upon closer inspection, the biologist noticed strands of human hair and the distinct smell of decay. Terry Miller, a cold case investigator from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, revealed that the Clark County coroner determined the woman had likely been killed by multiple gunshot wounds in the mid to late 1991. Despite extensive efforts by law enforcement, the woman's identity remained a mystery, earning her the name Jane Tropicana Doe. The case eventually went cold. In February 2023, the Metro Police enlisted the help of Othram to conduct a forensic genetic genealogy investigation on the remains. Finally, after over 30 years, the cold case section of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department identified the victim as Linda Sue Anderson, also known as Linda Sue Andrews. Linda, a 38-year-old mother of 3, resided in Henderson, Nevada at the time of her death. Her family had last heard from her in a phone call during 1991. Tragically, Linda's children believed for all these years that their mother had abandoned them due to her struggles with mental illness, and as a result, she was never reported missing. Mikhail Kalishin, one of Linda's daughters, expressed to investigators, "So this whole time we were thinking that she left us, and she did not love us. This is a huge thing in our lives." While Linda lived with her husband in Henderson, Nevada, her children resided in northern Nevada with their father. Mikhail added, "We called each other all the time on the phone." In 1991, Mikhail and her siblings received unexpected news from their stepfather. Their mother had made the decision to leave and start a new life. Mikhail recalls the moment when her stepfather arrived home and discovered that their mother's belongings were gone. She left behind a note expressing her desire to begin anew and not be found by anyone. However, Mikhail never had the chance to see the note herself. Divorce records from 1992 indicate that her stepfather believed he had last seen Linda, their mother, in October 1991. He revealed shocking details about Linda leading a double life and being involved in an affair. This revelation left everyone in disbelief, as they couldn't understand why Linda would abandon her children. Despite their initial denial, Mikhail and her siblings had to come to terms with the fact that their mother had indeed left them. Mikhail held on to the hope that one day her mother would reach out to her, but she never anticipated the calls she received from the Metro Police. The devastating news was that her mother had been murdered. Mikhail and her family are left with countless questions about the circumstances surrounding Linda's death. They yearn for answers and hope that the identification of Linda's remains will bring forth more information about the person responsible for taking her life.